right, a good day to all. Sam here with you on a Thursday, August 16th. We're kind of late morning here. Now, typically, we've been doing traditional assets on Thursdays, but we did a little polling amongst the members today, and the requests were for some updates on some large cap crypto alts here. So we're going to look at Ethereum Classic, where we've had some bullish news recently. And we're also going to look at Cardano to Bitcoin. So first up, this is Ethereum Classic to the dollar. This is a 12-hour, so we can get the long-term count on this. On Bitfinex, now, no question, this is a very complex correction. So just to put it in context, so we're working all the way back to the January high here, up at 46 there. So it's boy, you kind of run out of options here. So coming down here, we get a very clear ABC that gives us a nice W. Then we have this is just a perfect X wave. In Elliott Wave Theory, the assumption is that you want to see the X wave retracing up to 90% of the first ABC. So we're right in sync there with that X wave here. So from that X wave, then we're looking for our next ABC. So we get this very clear 5 waves down into our A wave here. Little ABC, it gives us our B, and then it would appear that we come down and we finish our second ABC down here for that Y wave. Then we had this a bit of a disappointment here with this last sell-off here. It looked like there was the possibility that we had, so we might have had a WXY. It looked like we might have been going into a leading diagonal here, but with that sell-off we've had over the last couple of days here, that's invalidated that count. So it leaves us with only the choice here, I would propose to you, of another X wave here, and then ultimately going down for a Z. Now there's a reasonable chance here that we've got a good pivot here. Now we've had a little overthrow, which is not uncommon here in this last move down here of the Z wave, a little overthrow of this trend line that had been containing this move here as we've come through it. Now we're going to look over here, but just a couple of things to note here. So first one, we've got to pay attention to the fact that we do have an algo target down here, but no, we're down at $6 here. So it's there, right? So here's the 38. It looks like, potentially it's hard to know what they use. They could have used this pivot here. That would bring it up a hair. That looks like maybe that's more likely they worked off of this pivot. So here we come right to the 50. Not a front run. So that algo is still sitting short, looking for that target. Excuse me. But we also have this one here. So if we just recreate here and we look here, well, so we actually get just a tick or two through the 65 before we start that rip down. So both of these targets remain unrealized. So we can't ignore them. We got to know they're down here, right? So we have this. We'll draw it up this way. We have this. Let's see. We can come over here. Kind of a hot box down here that we have to recognize that those targets are there. So there's a very real possibility that all we're doing is just doing another 50 here before we come back down. So let's look over here. We'll lower the time frame here, knowing that those are there. We can take some of this off to clean up the chart. So with that established now, so as I'm showing you here, so let me zoom in a little bit here to make that point. So if we're going to work from this swing high to our swing low here, well, here's our 50. We got to be paying attention to it right as we approach the Vegas wave. So that's something. So look where that target is, right in smack dab in the lower third of our lower quarter of our hot box that we just drew here. So we can't ignore that. And we got to consider that as something that we have to pay attention to if we get a pivot here and start to head lower. I don't think that's what we're looking at, but let's break it down, see what we can get down to. So let's go down to the 3 hour here. Let me zoom this back out here and see how this looks. 3 may not be enough, so let me go again here. Yeah, let's go from the 3. We'll go down to the 1 hour here and get a look at this. So here's what I have it. Sorry, hang on one second. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Okay, so from this pivot up here that I have labeled as the C of our X wave here, let's get this by itself. C of our X wave here. So I get a nice 1, 2, 3. Here's my ABC into my 4. And it looks like I come down here and I finish with this little throw over here of this trend line, giving me my 5 waves down to complete a candidate for completion of my Z wave here relative to this X. So I've got a good clean 5 to finish that up. Now, if I'm going to come down here and finish that in 5, well, of course, we're looking for signs of a motive wave coming off of that. And you can see here, we've got, let's see, even if I go down, let's go to 30 minute and get a better look at it. So even if we look here now, this looks pretty reasonable here. So I've got a candidate here for a 1, 2, 3, 4. Hard to say whether we've got the pivot here. Looks like there's a candidate. So if we break down this last wave here, we can see pretty clearly here's the impulsive 3. An ABC, a candidate for our 4 of a 5 here. So let's raise this degree here. So we'll take that color up and we'll go up a degree so it makes sense. We can go to micro there. Okay, so you see what I'm after here. So we've got a 1, 2 candidate for a 4, and then we've got this nice subdivision setting up in here for this 5th. Now, hard to say. We've got to see what happens here if they go up and challenge these highs. So looking at it, just from just standard ops, looking at the length of our 3rd, well, here we come for the 4. So we come right to the point of control. It's a slight front run on the 50 with a target up here at 14,996. So if we get that, right? So if we come up here and we get a pivot up here and we start to come down, well, then we're looking for our ABC, and then the buy is there for the 3rd. So that's what we're after here. If we get this, right? It kind of looks like it wants to go there because of this subdivision here. So then we'd be given that. So if I pull that off, now we don't know yet, but it looks like it wants to get up there. If we do get that completion, well, then we're just looking for the next 50. So if I don't know where that pivot is, but if we come up here and get a pivot and we start to come down and we get a good 3 wave, well, then we're looking right in our sweet spot where we're looking for our 2nd between the 50 and the 618. That's the play that I think is there should we go up here and complete, because if we get this clear subdivision of the 5th in the 5th, it's just adding to the credibility in the confluence that we set up down here for this wave 5 low, given that I now have a very solid motive wave coming off of that. So it sets up a trade possibility. So we get a probability zone down here. If this is going to stay impulsive and we get a 3-wave correction, then that's a must buy. There's no reason not to buy that. Right? We have, even if we think about the larger degree, we've completed this pattern, a very long complex correction. We've had bullish news. The market has interpreted it favorably. So we're getting a pretty solid move off of that. So I would not be a buyer here. There's not enough juice in that as potential upside. I would let this complete, let it complete, then look for that correction. There's your next opportunity to be catching, potentially now you're getting the 3rd wave of so if this is our first 1, if we get a 1, 2, you're getting the 3rd of the first wave of where this may be going. Now, what do we have to pay attention to? Of course, we got to watch out for the 50 because that will be resistance. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. From that swing high to that swing low, as we approach this 50, now interestingly here, so we get our algo target here. We'll see, right? So we'll see what that's going to look like. So if we were going to go into a wave 3, we'd be looking for it up here at our negative 618, or pardon me, our negative 100 that's our shorthand for our 1618, which is our high probability zone for our 3rd. So, again, nothing to really do here other than watch and look for this pivot. If we're gonna go a little higher, because we certainly could go up to this 50 before we get the rollover. Right, so we could certainly go up here and do this. That would not be unexpected if we get this little push up. We know, look, so note what else is here. So look at this very low volume node here right at the 50. So very reasonable, as there's typically one of 2 reactions there. Either it moves quickly through it and we go back here to where we see, in this area here, where we see more market acceptance. You see all this trading volume, buys and sells, buys and sells. Here we don't have market acceptance. So one of 2 things happens. Either it gets there, moves quickly through it, or it's there and it's rejected as market does not have acceptance here. So that can be a tell. If that starts to roll over and we get a good looking ABC, then all the more do I my little trading fangs come out here as potentially, hey, there's the opportunity to catch the third of the one. So think about that. I'm down here on a 30-minute. So let's go back out to a 3-hour and put that in context as to where that might be going. So I don't know, 3-hour may not do it. Let's go back. Let's go to an 8. Right? We think about where that may be going if, right? So big if this is a good pivot down here to complete this WXYXZ, if we're going to come out of this impulsively, well, then we're just getting started, right? So if we reassemble the whole thing, get this all back together, we've old highs up here at 47. We're down here looking to be a buyer down here at 11. Long way to go, and a lot has to happen. The whole crypto sphere has to turn around here. But we do have the potential here for a completion pattern that sets this up. So one to be watching without any doubt. That's one to be watching. So first tell will be what's the reaction at the 50? Do we correct in a 3? If so, I know I as well as most of my members will be looking for an opportunity there. All right, so that's what I see. That's a pretty quick update. There's not too much more to look at here. So a bit of hurry up and wait. Let the market show its hand. If we stay with that motive wave, there's definitely an opportunity for the buy side. All right, you guys, as always, I'll just close telling you can always learn more about what we offer to you on the educational side over on our website. You can check that out. That's tradedevils.com. You can come over to our free public Discord where you can get access to myself, my coaches, or my senseis as we call them. So that's a good place to kind of just, put a toe in the water and get a feel for what it's all about over on our members Discord. So consider that as an option. And you can learn more about that over on our Twitter feed or at our website. Okay, guys, that's it for now. I'll be back to you in a little bit.